There's a particular kind of quiet that settles. And once you finally understand something you've spent years refusing to see, not anger, not sadness, just quiet. It found me on a Tuesday afternoon in a glass-walled office, 4 years after I thought I'd already left this story behind. But to understand that moment, you have to go back to where it started. My name's Michael, 26, junior analyst at a logistics company in Ohio. 2 years out of college and grateful to have the job. I wasn't loud. I just worked, came in early, stayed late, did things right the first time so nobody had to ask twice. My team lead was a guy named Derek, late 30s, confident, the kind of person who walked into a room like he already owned it. People liked him. Derek had a way of making you feel lucky to be in his orbit. For a long time I was. For almost 2 years my routine barely changed. I'd build the reports, run the numbers, prep the decks. Derek would carry them into leadership meetings and walk out with the credit. I told myself that was just how it worked when you were starting out. Looking back now, the signs were there long before I let myself see them. There was a meeting where I'd built an entire cost-saving proposal. 3 weeks of work, real numbers, a plan that saved the company close to $200,000 a year. Derek presented it as an idea the team had been working on. Not my idea. The team's idea. I sat in the back, watched him collect nods from the VPs, and thought, that's fine. That's just how it goes. I should have noticed how often the team meant him. An individual contribution meant me. There was also a promotion coming up, senior analyst, a role I'd basically been doing for over a year. Derek had told me more than once, when the time's right, I'll put your name forward myself. I believed him. He'd never been anything but friendly to my face. Back then, I would have called him a good boss. What I didn't know, what I hadn't let myself look at, was how loud Derek's silence got every single time my name came up in a room I wasn't in. The senior analyst position opened up about 2 months later. I applied, same as anyone else. It felt like a formality. Derek had all but promised me the role. A week later, I found out through a co-worker, not Derek, that the position had already gone to someone else. A guy named Brandon, who Derek had played golf with and personally vouched for. I didn't say anything. I finished my work and drove home like normal. But that's when things started to change. I kept thinking about every conversation Derek and I had ever had about that promotion. Every "don't worry, I've got you." I wasn't angry, not in the way people usually mean. I was just quiet, replaying everything, piece by piece, noticing for the first time who was missing from every frame. A few days later, I asked Derek directly, calmly, what happened. He smiled, put a hand on my shoulder, and said, honestly, man, leadership felt like you weren't quite ready yet. Don't worry, next round's yours. I said, okay, thanks for being straight with me. And in that moment, I meant it. It was only later, alone, that I let myself sit with it. I'd been doing senior-level work for over a year. Not ready yet wasn't a fact. It was a sentence someone had chosen to say about me. I learned the hard way that doing good work was never going to be enough, not as long as someone else controlled the story. I didn't react. I observed. Every person Derek had ever genuinely helped move up was someone who made him look good, or wasn't a threat back to his position. I wasn't either of those things anymore. And that's when I understood everything. I didn't quit in anger. Instead, I started looking, quietly, at what else existed. Our company ran a corporate leadership rotation program out of headquarters, 3 states away. Most people in our office didn't even know it existed, because it wasn't part of Derek's world. I applied on a Sunday night, telling no one. 6 weeks later, I got the call, accepted into an 18-month rotation through finance, operations, and strategy, based at corporate. I gave my 2 weeks' notice the next morning. No speech, no drama. Didn't think you had it in you to actually leave, man. Derek laughed. I just smiled, shook his hand, and said, "Thanks for everything, Derek. I mean that." I did mean it. Just not the way he thought. That was the last time I saw him for almost 4 years. The rotation program changed everything, not through some dramatic moment, but because for the first time, my name was attached to what I built. A few years later, I'd moved into a permanent role on the corporate operations team, reviewing regional offices for performance and compliance. One day, a file landed on my desk, a regional office, flagged for missed targets and HR. Complaints left open far too long. The office was my old one. The flagged manager was Derek. A week later, I flew out for the site review. Same building, same floor. Derek didn't recognize me at first, just another corporate guy with a badge, until I gave my full name. Something shifted behind his eyes. "Michael." "Wow, look at you," he said, recovering fast. "We should grab lunch, catch up properly. We can talk after the review," I said. Not cold, just clear. The data didn't care about old loyalties. Proposals filed under Derek's name matched junior staff work, almost word for word. HR complaints had been quietly closed. The one person who would have escalated them was Derek's brother, a VP, who'd since left. And the numbers themselves had been adjusted, quarter after quarter, just enough to look right. None of it was hidden through effort. It was hidden because nobody with the authority to look had ever bothered to. The decision came from a panel based on the documentation, but I was the one who sat across from Derek and walked him through it. He tried to lean on the old version of us. "Come on, Michael. You know how this works." I didn't argue. There was nothing left to prove. I slid the paperwork across the table and waited while he signed it. He'd thought he was untouchable, not because he was powerful, but because he believed the people he'd stepped on would stay exactly where he left them. He never planned for the version of me that kept moving after he stopped watching. I didn't get even with Derek. I got better. I moved different after that and built what I'd earned myself, somewhere he couldn't reach. That's the part people miss about respect. You don't get it back by demanding it. You get it back by becoming someone it can't be taken from again. If a story like this hits close to home, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I read everyone.